Steven Correño, KO Artist Sports are here with the one and only Bobby Benton, trainer of the Rougarou, Regis Prograis. Man, you really got a good one in Regis. He's just a great quality person, I feel like, as well. Just talk to me about your guys' origination and how you met him, and when you kind of realized oh, there's something special here.
Well, my first memory of him is at 5 in the morning. He was still in high school, and he was at the park running at 5 in the morning. I used to run my guys at 5 in the morning, and he was out there, and I saw his trainer was his manager at the time, Jay John, and I told him, that kid's going to do something. What kid is getting up at 5 in the morning going to run before school? Wow. So that's my first memory of him. And then, when I realized that he was going to be great was Hector Velasquez. He fought Hector Velasquez, and we were supposed to fight. I can't even remember the guy's name. He was 11-1, but it wasn't it was one of the guys that just a step-up fight for us. And he fell out in the last minute. We were headed to the airport, and they called and said, "You're fighting Hector Velasquez." And my heart, I was we went from just a fight I knew he was going to smash the guy to this is going to be a real fight. And he smashed Velasquez, so.
He's been smashing a lot of dudes, I feel in the 140-pound division. Being a champion again, do you see something different in the idea of I had it once, I lost it, and I got it back, that's not happening again?
Yeah, absolutely. He's constantly getting better. That's the whole thing with him is some guys kind of have just a style and they're stagnant and they do what they do, but he is constantly working on his game. He wants to get better. He's learning. If you look at all his fights, he doesn't fight anybody the same. You can go for me it'd be a nightmare because I like studying fights. Watching him, I started watching his fights, and he's every fight's different. Every single fight he's fought different. So how do you prepare for him? He's got some similarities, but most of the time he's doing something different every fight.
No, he's a very versatile fighter. You guys are at with Matchroom now, signed a new deal. I've heard Eddie say something about Matias is kind of on the horizon to unify the division, start unifying the division again. Is that a fight that you're maybe looking forward to? You see maybe that's the first champion to go after in this division?
We're worried about Zorrilla. That's it. There's nobody else right now we can't even talk about. Obviously there's big fights out there, but right now it's Zorrilla. That's all we're focused on. You can easily overlook a guy, especially a guy like Zorrilla, he's a real fighter. He's a top level guy. He's got one loss to Barbosa, and it was competitive. He hurt Barbosa. He's dangerous, so we have to be ready for him.
And he was a last-minute opponent as well. Maybe not last minute, but a replacement opponent. Obviously, you guys had somebody else at first. Looking at that Barbosa fight, like you said, he hurt Barbosa. Barbosa did not get the KO. He did get the victory. I asked Regis this yesterday. Obviously, the win's, paramount, right? But would it be a little, maybe a little more message to the division getting the KO of a Zorrilla and kind of making the statement hey, I am the king of this division now?
The win's the win. That's all that matters. I don't care how he gets it, but I could definitely see Zorrilla surviving, going the distance, and I could also see Regis knocking him out. So. We're ready for anything. That
was something to see yesterday. When Regis beat the stuffing out of that bag. That was kind of crazy. Does that happen often?
Crazy. Yeah, he's tore up some stuff. Actually, I think that's the third one he's broke, but that one was almost brand new, which is crazy because they usually last a little bit. So he shows you the kind of intensity he's got going on his punches already.
I just saw stuffing. I was like, where does that stuff coming? And then I see him punch. I'm like, oh, there it is. That's kind of nuts. Man, I just, as a trainer, just want to pick your brain a little bit on Spence versus Crawford. As a trainer, say if you were, in Errol Spence's corner, how do you helping him deal with Spence switch hitting? How do you prepare a man for a guy who switch hits the way Terence does?
For me, I'd prepare for the left-hander because Crawford, most of the time, he's fighting left-handed. But that's a hard task. Crawford's he's elusive. He can adjust. He's got a high IQ, but Spence has got that. He's got a beautiful jab. He's got what it takes to beat him. The fight for me is a 50-50 fight. I think Crawford's going to win, but I love Spence, so it's hard to go against him, But I just feel like the IQ is is what's going to win it for him. Because you go back and look, all right, so for me, Ugas might be the most dangerous guy in boxing. Like, he's a hard guy. Like, nobody wants to fight him. He can really, really fight. Look what he did to Pacquiao. And Spence beat him, pretty handily, so.
And just vice versa, if you're on Terrence's side, right, how do you deal with Spence with the pressure, the body attack, that beautiful jab like you mentioned?
Yeah, he's got to be elusive. He's got to use his feet, use his feints, and not let Spence get set, which he's good at. So it's definitely it's a hard fight to.
Good one.
Yeah, it's definitely
a good one.
Yes.
Do you have any amateur stories of either guy, like Spence or Crawford? Do you and any? Because I know people have a lot of. I know Regis has fought him a couple times in the amateur.
Spence a couple times, but I wasn't with him then. No, I didn't. At that time, I was already training pros.
Oh, okay, good for you. See, already in the program. Bobby, thank you so much for your time. Best of luck. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.